Hello and welcome to Sobirovs live show. Today is Wednesday and as usual we are streaming live and we will be talking about a frozen immigration program. Yes, you guessed it right. Startup visa program has been frozen, effectively closed. But what are your alternatives in this changing world of immigration? Today that's the topic. Those who didn't join or haven't witnessed our live streaming before, today is your introduction. Welcome, it's great to have you. First, I have a quick presentation and then I get to your live questions, okay? So today's topic is SUV has been frozen. SUV stands for Startup Visa Program, not a SUV car that you drive. So SUV startup has been frozen, and now what are we looking at in terms of alternatives? 2026 has just started, and this is a preliminary assessment of what you can get in this year. Don't get hopeless. There are great ways to immigrate to Canada. So I ask you to subscribe to our channel. We do a lot of live sessions. Every Wednesday, I try to show up here on YouTube and other social media platforms to get your questions answered, okay? My aim for 2026 is to bring those non-subscribers to 50%. So help me out with this challenge, and I really appreciate it. So welcome to our live session. Today is SUV versus other programs. Business immigration focus, this is what we do best. This is the only thing that we do. So startup, everything is changing. Yesterday, if you heard Prime Minister Mark Carney in Davos, Switzerland, he made a phenomenal speech. The world is changing, so is the business immigration world of 2026. The shift is to operational reality. So we will be navigating through SUV program, what happened, what is the situation, but then we will focus on two main aspects and I will give you a bridge, a roadmap on how to move forward with your business immigration. When I was preparing this presentation, the backlog for Startup Visa program was at 43,200, but now I checked, it's at 45,200. People, that's not the application, but people in the backlog. Estimated time is more than 10 years. Startup visa program is officially frozen. And there are some applications that can be done, those who got their letter of support before the January 1st freeze, then they can do it until May. But overall, the backlog is insane. Things are changing. You have to pivot because this is the reality. Now, the era of applying and waiting for your PR is over. It has been officially over well before, but people were expecting, oh, I apply for SUV, Startup Visa program, and then I just wait for my PR. And then when I come to Canada, I will then start my startup, which you are not obligated. Technically speaking, you can literally drop your startup when you come to Canada as a PR. That era is gone. That speculative business ideas are gone. The reality is now is operational. So the old way that used to be, you had all the intentions on your paper, just a paper based, right? You tell what you will do, you promise, you get some funding, perhaps you burn that cash, whatever cash is necessary, just to get to the PR. That era is gone. The new paradigm, the new reality is that work permit first, do the job first, actively manage your company first, physical presence first, and controlling interest first, right? So that's the reality now we are living. If you ask me in one sentence, I tell you, forget startup visa. If you are in the backlog, forget the backlog. Unless you have such a progress in your startup. Be honest with yourself. Have you made any progress on your startup that is on paper, maximum on paper? Has the market changed? Has your startup concept become irrelevant? Is it still a good idea? So be honest with yourself and move forward honestly. So the new reality in Canadian business immigration is active management. You have to run your business. You have to be physically present, not on a co-working spaces, right? You must reside within 100 kilometers of your business operations, and you have to have controlling interest. These are the elements of the programs that I will discuss in a moment. Now, if you tell me what should you do now if you are stuck in the startup visa backlog, I would say go on your own, build your own business. Yes, you were teamed up by 5 individuals, maximum 5 individuals, including yourself. I think it's not the right time to keep that team, to be honest. It's time to move forward on your own. Federal business program, which I call Federal Bridge, is C11 significant benefit. It's one option, depending on the maturity of your business concept, right? The concept is, it's a temporary work permit. Yes, it is a temporary, and many people, even in the startup world, used to come to Canada on a work permit, and the PR was way into the future, right? So the C11 will give you 18 months to launch a business that benefits Canada. We can talk for hours what is significant benefit, but overall it's creating jobs, creating social and cultural benefits to Canada. The investment reality, many people ask me questions about how much. It is cheaper than startup visa program. That's what I can say. The investment reality that we deal with on a practical level, there's no necessary minimums in C11, but it should be a reasonable amount, depending on the business that you want to do in Canada. We are looking at 200,000 to 300,000 Canadian liquid investment. That's a functional standard, not the legislated standard, not in the law, but reality of successful C11 cases. We are looking at 200 to 300,000. And it's a very good LMIA exempt program. If you want to come to Canada with your family and to work on your business concept without getting through that LMIA problem, it's become a problem to applicants. LMIA stands for Labor Market Impact Assessment. Basically, if government allows you to become a work permit holder and hire a non-Canadian, and as you are a foreign entrepreneur, you are considered non-Canadian. So LMIA exempt feature is the great feature at the moment, because the unemployment rate is fluctuating between 6.5% to 7% depending on the location. So LMIA exempt feature is great to have at the moment. So however, the catch, and I'm here to give you an honest assessment, a sober assessment, the catch is this doesn't necessarily lead to PR, right? But it grants you an opportunity to build a track record. And I'm coming to that, why track record is important. Now, defining significant benefit, as I said, we can argue and debate for many hours. It basically comes to 3 big elements. Economic stimulus, that job creation for Canadians, that's the gold standard. If you create jobs, that's great. If you buy an existing company and you preserve jobs, you save jobs from being lost, that's also a good standard. Plus, exporting Canadian goods. Look at the global reality. Canada is trying to open to new market. It's trying to export its goods to places that are not in the US, right? So exporting outside of Canada, that's also a good argument for significant benefit. Second, regional and social impact. So operations in rural and remote areas is a priority. If you say, I open a coffee shop in Toronto, downtown Toronto, that's not a significant benefit. Even if it creates 2 jobs, that's not significant. But if you create the same job in the rural community where jobs are so rare, and you preserve that community in a way, then that's the best way, and you can argue it. So services for underserved population. So that's also a good social impact. It's not just about the money, how much money you put, it's the impact of that local economy that your business does. Third is innovation. Of course, goes without saying, technological advancement, R&D, green tech, manufacturing modernization, and so on. The underlining factor is your business should be shovel-ready status. Basically, C11 significant benefit, it's where you say, hey government, I have done all the steps possible while being outside of Canada and while not having a work permit status. Give me that work permit and I will push the button, the business will start working. So that readiness is necessary for significant benefit work permit. For example, leases are signed, vendors are lined up, everything as mature as possible so that the only thing remaining is you coming to Canada and pushing the button and starting the business. Now, another way to look at alternatives to startup visa program is PNP streams for entrepreneurs. If you are focused on permanent residence, that's your magic formula at the moment. One is you get an invitation by the province. What's going on in Canada at the moment is the federal government of Canada saying to the provinces, hey guys, choose your own immigrants, choose your own entrepreneurs who will come to your province and be responsible to them, right? Because federal government has been criticized so much about immigration. Now they want to down the pressure and say, let the provinces choose and be responsible for their choices. So in 2026 and 2027, 28, the Provincial Nominee Program has increased in terms of share from 50,000 to 91,500 nominees will be coming through PNP, including entrepreneurs like you. Now, the provincial powerhouses, as I look at the moment, are British Columbia, Alberta, Ontario is coming. Wait and see when Ontario PNP for entrepreneurs will be revived and a new standard will come. So, and you look at the Maritimes, New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, and so on. So invitation by the province, it's the key, right? You come, as I said, work permit first, perform, prove that you are worthy of permanent residence within 12 to 24 months, and then you get the provincial nomination. If you go under express entry, then you get 600 points and you are boosted, and then you're good to go for the PR. If you don't go through express entry, you can go directly to the federal government for PR application once you have the backing of the province that you function in. So the key insight is, with federal points gone, remember, the arranged employment points are gone. 200 points are gone. 50 points are gone. A provincial nomination is a mathematical safety net for your PR. And don't forget, usually, most of the time, and you can do it, and the work permit operation, you come to Canada with your family, okay? We will come to that in a moment. By the way, if you are joining us recently, start typing your questions. I have top FAQs at the end of this presentation and I will answer them, but I will also answer your live questions. So if you are joining us from different places, so let me know. It's great to have you all here. Now I'm doing my presentation, almost done with my presentation, and then we'll go to FAQs and then to your questions, right? All right, the provincial powerhouses I mentioned, I will repeat. British Columbia is great and fast, and you're looking at Alberta, great, fast, and very predictable province. And Ontario, wait and see. Ontario is trying to bring back entrepreneur stream again, and if it does, and when it does, it will be a great program, I hope. But you need to be in Canada. I will explain why. All right, now let's look at British Columbia. What is the philosophy? What is the logic behind PNPs? There is a division, usually urban versus regional. So urban base, as an example for BC, net worth of 600,000, investment of 200,000. If you want to do it in metropolitan Vancouver area, then you don't get any extra points for your location. But when you look at the regional, the net worth goes half, so 300,000 net worth. Investment amount is minimum 100,000, which is very reasonable. And requirement, community endorsement and exploratory visit. We can help you with exploratory visits. Organize your exploratory visit, make you great suggestions where to go, whom to meet, and what to do in your exploratory. It's not just a touristic visit. It's a strategic exploration of locations for you. Key insight is BC's entrepreneurial streams incentivizes regional investment. And this goes across Canada, including in Alberta. There's an Alberta Rural Entrepreneur, which we successfully represent our clients, and we've been doing it for many, many years, 13 plus years. Investment is low entry, 100,000. Community focus is communities outside of Calgary and Edmonton. And if you look at New Brunswick, Atlantic Canada, the same net worth, 500,000. It's a bit higher than Alberta. And investment is 150,000. However, the good side of New Brunswick, new program is called New Brunswick Business Immigration Stream. After 6 months of your operation, you can ask for nomination. That you don't have to wait for 18 months or 24 months, right? New Brunswick entry is a bit higher than Alberta, but the process of PR, getting nomination to the PR is great. So I suggest also look at seriously New Brunswick. It's a growing hub. They have a renovation of their port of St. John's. It's an amazing. I personally visited New Brunswick. It's a great place. Atlantic Canada overall is a great lifestyle, great environment, and so on. But if you are so confused, I wouldn't say confused, but if business immigration is not something that you look per se, look at also Francophone mobility. That's what we call C16. If you speak French, there are benefits, right? Intra-company transfer. If you have an existing company, you want to expand to Canada, if you qualify under intra-company transfer, look at ICT work permits. Straightforward. This is a new multinational expanding to Canada. Scrutiny will be it should be the new office, and realistic liquid assets that you need is 100,000 plus, but even small, it depends where you expand, which part of Canada you expand to. I can see several people from different parts of the world. Fatima is asking how to get expression of interest. We will touch base that question too. Express entry trap. There's remember in March 2025, the point system was gone, right? Senior managers and arranged employment, this 200 points is gone. Now, don't look at express entry at the moment for business immigration, right? If they come up with a new program for entrepreneurs, we'll let you know. But even if they come up with any program for senior managers, they will look to your historic progress, right? What have you done so far? How much contribution have you done? It's not like brand new, okay, senior manager come under express entry. It will be performance based. That's the key logic going forward. In Canada, applicants therefore have great advantage. So current status is 0 points for arranged employment. So the solution you should look at is you must transition to a PNP nomination, potentially 600 points, or achieve a high French frequency to bridge the gap for personal immigration matters, right? Refusal epidemic, it's scrutinized. The red flags are the following. The killer clause is section 175B, dual intent. You have to explain your dual intent, even if you're coming to Canada non-permanently, temporarily, but you also have an intention to become permanent. You have to show that you will leave if PR is denied, and you have the capacity to leave if PR is denied. That's one of the key factors. Many people ask me in business immigration, they say, I will sell all my assets in my home country and then I will do business immigration. No, don't do that. You need to show capacity to return to your home country. If you sell all your belongings in your home country and the government says, hey, you don't have any ties left, you're coming here on C11 or even other temporary programs, you don't have the capacity to live or willingness to live if you're, for work permit, you need to show that you have the capacity and willingness to leave Canada if PR is not achieved. And second red flag, unsanitized financials, for example, crypto assets without ledgers or undocumented loans. That's a bad result. Now, weak ties, again, lack of assets or family in your home country. Business owners, business immigration is not a one-way ticket, okay? It should be, you need to be able to communicate and stay in touch with your home country. Passive structures, the SUV program has become a passive investment kind of program before. That's why it was canceled. One of the many reasons why it was canceled, it was just put the money down, wait for your PR, and then don't do your startup. You know, it was a passive investment program, are not present in Canada. Investment without active management will be denied. So the future, what's going on in terms of your possibilities in 2026? Entrepreneur pilot program was announced by the federal government. It will be probably by invitation only, because I think they will look very similar to what we have under PNP. Federal program will say, okay, what have you done so far? Have you run a business in Canada? What did you do in certain sectors, and so on? So it will be invitation only, no more open queue. It will be curated selection according to my assessment and forecast. Sector specific, we could go sector by sector, because Canada is focusing on certain sectors at the moment. Green tech will be probably there, AI will be there, life sciences, and please comment what other areas you think Canada will focus on. In Canada, preference will be there, because the idea of 40% of future permanent residents are already in Canada doing their business, running their businesses, contributing to Canadian economy, and so on. And remember, there is an initiative of converting 33,000 people who are already legally contributing to Canada's economy into permanent residents. And the focus will be rural areas, according to government sources. But we don't know the specific yet, but prioritizing founders already operating under C11 ICT or other programs will be prioritized. So strategy, don't wait, establish in Canada status now to be the first in line. So you can then say, yes, for the last 12 months, I've been running this business at this location, and now I want to be permanent resident. So it will be that kind of a logic, but specifics will be announced by government, and we will get to that topic once the announcement is made. I can see construction materials, there's a comment. Yes, thank you very much. There are questions from the website. I will get to those questions in a moment. Thank you. Thank you for watching this live show. It's great to have you with us. Even if you miss this live streaming, don't worry, you can still send us your questions. Just leave them in the comments section under this video. My team and I will go to each question and answer them as much as we can. Usually, within 1 hour after live streaming, we will hang out in the comments section, answering the questions as they come. So I look forward to getting your questions soon. Let's get back to the show now. Okay, I have some Q&As already populated. I received it in advance, and this is based on the consultations that we do, 1 hour strategy meeting, and my team has provided me the most frequently asked questions. We will get to those questions once I'm done with my presentation. So the 2026 Entrepreneur Pilot, we are looking at 3 things. 1, invitation only, probably sector specific and in Canada preference. Remember, Ontario PNP will be enriched with an entrepreneur stream. There will be probably a very specific express entry kind of pathway, but also there will be some other new PNP programs. Let's look at comparative metrics for 2026. What you are looking at in terms of coming to Canada fast, doing your own business in Canada. So C11 Work Permit, I said minimum around 200,000 recommended. These are recommendations. No minimum net worth is under C11. Key advantage is it's speed, and it's a federal program. No direct PR, but it's more subjective. You have to team up with another program to transfer to PR. But the fact that you are doing contributions in Canada under C11 will be taken into account in the future programs. BC base stream, 200,000 minimum investment, 600,000 of your net worth. Lifestyle, it's more urban lifestyle in BC. High competition, however. I think BC Entrepreneur Stream recently nominated 7 entrepreneurs under PNP, and they were successfully successfully transitioning to PR. I'm just checking the questions that are coming through. Please don't hesitate to send your questions, and we will get to them very quickly. Alberta Rural, very successful program, and I like doing business with Alberta and sending my clients to Alberta. They are very happy. Of course, there are some weather challenges, but the requirements are very straightforward. Speed is great. Low cost, and location is a bit remote, but your family would love it. And also, I mentioned Francophone. It's the big topic in Canada's immigration. Francophone immigration is going ballistic in the recent years. Now, the execution roadmap, my suggestions, but you can start with any step in a way, right? So you don't have to follow exact step, but I try to make it more organized. Structure and sanitize. Incorporate a Canadian entity, 51% ownership at the minimum, but usually it's 100%. Audit personal net worth. Are you ready? Do you have enough money? If it's your last money that you want to use for business immigration, don't do this, because business immigration has its own business risks, okay? Second, land and launch. Enter on C11 ICT work permit or even PNP work permit, right? Secure physical premises, start your business. Operational reality is third, is 12 months of active management. Usually it's 12 months, but as I said, in New Brunswick, you can start the nomination process after 6 months, which is great. 12 months of active management, payroll and tax filings. Keep the records straight in terms of paperwork. And fourth phase is the transition to permanent residence. Congratulations. During the whole process, your family can be with you. Now, SUV has closed, but the window is still open, right? The startup visa is gone, but the path for genuine operators is clearer than ever. It's now very clear what you need to do to be successful as an entrepreneur and successfully bring your family to Canada, then move forward to your permanent residence. And ultimately, I want you all to become Canadian citizens by 2030, in 4 years from now, okay? That's a very realistic timeline, by the way. If you want to do business immigration to Canada, team up with one of the leading business immigration teams in Canada. We've been doing only business immigration for the last 13 plus years, and we do it very well. We are focused. We are not everything immigration firm. We are one thing. Business immigration is our business. Contact us for more details. And now it's time for your questions.
Are you constantly on the move, managing your business, and looking for a convenient way to stay informed about expanding your business to Canada? Look no further. Introducing Speaking of Canada, the podcast that keeps you in the loop on all things related to Canadian business immigration, delivering the latest news and valuable tips and captivating interviews, no matter how busy your schedule gets. Speaking of Canada has got you covered.
All right, so I have some most frequently asked questions. Let's go with them, and I will promise I will take one FAQ from my database that came from our clients and our potential clients, and then one questions from the audience. We will be switching sides, okay? First question that we received in advance is, if I switch from SUV to C11 today, how long until I can move to Canada? The fear here is I'll be stuck waiting for another 2 years or 3 years, whatever. The answer I prepared in advance. With the startup visa right now, you are looking at an indefinite wait time, right? That's realistic, literally years, tens of years, right? With C11, because it's a work permit application, not a PR application, the processing standard is much faster. We are typically seeing approvals in the 3 to 6 month range for most countries. Depending on your location and jurisdiction, this can change a little bit, but 3 to 6 months is a realistic expectation. So if you apply now in January 2026, you could be operational in Canada by summer. So that's my answer. So I will go to the questions now. I know that you are okay. From Ethiopia. Hello to Ethiopia. Thank you for joining, and it's great to have you. Fatima is asking how to get the expression of interest. If you are an expression of interest is not something that you get, it's something that you give to the province. You express your interest saying that I will do so-and-so business in Canada, and this will be my business plan, this is my expectation. Basic overview. It's not a sophisticated application. However, some provincial nominee programs require you to come and visit the province first before doing the expression of interest, okay? Expression of interest, as the word suggests, you express your interest to move to that province to do business. Now, one of my questions is the questions that we had. All right, the next question that we received in advance is, does C11 actually lead to PR, or is it just a temporary work permit? The fear here in this question is, I'm wasting my time and money on a dead end. Is it something like that? So the answer is, this is the most important question to answer, honestly. Here's the reality. As a business owner, you generally do not get arranged employment points anymore. It used to be the case, not anymore. And self-employment doesn't really count for the Canadian Experience class under Express Entry. So, however, C11 is a bridge to provincial nominee programs in certain provinces, because certain provinces can look at your previous business dealings in that province and then get you to PNP. By operating your business in Canada, in one of the provinces, on a C11, you become an attractive candidate for entrepreneur streams in provinces like Ontario. Ontario PNP is considering, and there are two pathways in what they are considering. One is already done business from scratch. You develop as a business from zero. You have some track record, or you have acquired and run that newly acquired business for some time. So Ontario PNP is considering. We don't know the details yet, but wait and see. We will have the details for you on our channel soon. And New Brunswick PNP also recognizes your previous business running experience in that province. Okay, so that's good. So overall, C11 gets you in and operational faster. The PNP is what usually gets you the PR, not the C11. C11 is a stepping stone, right? It's a two-step strategy, not one-step miracle that leads you to PR. So that's my answer. Now let's get to one of the questions from the audience. All right. Let's see. Yeah, construction material or building materials, SSV 2586. Thank you. That could be an area that you can focus. It's being promoted. Canada will be developing a lot of projects in the near future, what we call nation building projects in Canada. All right, another question. This is an interesting question from the website. Can founders still get PR if their SUV file is in the backlog? Oh, that's a tough one. Depends where you are at the backlog. If you are at the tail end, at the last chunk of the SUV backlog, the PR 10 plus years. In 10 years, we will have a very, very different world, right? Let's be honest. 10 years in startup world, it's an era. It's so long that nobody will wait for 10 years. So theoretically, yes, they can still get PR. It depends where you are in the backlog. Are you at the front? Are you prioritized? Are you a priority application? Are you not a priority? Has any of the founders arrived in Canada on a work permit and did something on the ground? If it's just on the paper and you did nothing to your startup, you didn't move an inch forward, then I would say it will be very, very difficult. Very, very difficult in practical sense. Another question from Monabir is asking the question: is it permissible to pursue a C11 work permit and later a PNP business stream while an SUV PR application is still in process, without risking conflict or misrepresentation under current IRCC practice? No, dual intent and multiple applications are okay. The only application that kills everything is a refugee application, right? Once you do the refugee application, all your other applications are irrelevant and they will be abandoned. The other, choosing your different strategy at the same time, it's still okay, but you have to be always disclosing that information. If there are any updates in your background, in your application, in your overall situation, you have to declare this to IRCC. Why? First, to be honest and transparent. Two, to put you in a better position, just in case, if somebody will say, oh, you're pursuing several options. If some provinces, they really want you to be dedicated to that province, okay? If they see some of your relatives or your wife and spouse living in Ontario, BC and Alberta don't really like that. They want a commitment to that province because they hope while you're running the business, you will be staying there permanently. You will be an Albertan, a BC resident in the long term, right? So you need to talk and strategize accordingly. By default, it doesn't really, as long as you declare to IRCC, it doesn't go any risk of conflict of misrepresentation to the in the eyes of IRCC. Just declare. You say, hey, I am in the SUV backlog, but now I want to pursue PNP. Doesn't conflict. That's okay. Even if you, you got to be a bit careful with PNP. They need kind of a commitment to the location and your willingness to be in that province. Okay, it's not by default anything conflicting. Now another question, one question, and then we will go to FAQs. I compiled an FAQ, and I think that will be useful. Hossein is asking the following question: can I apply for a PNP or C11 while my PR application is in the process under SUV? Oh, I just responded to that question, Hossein. I think you got the answer. Yes, this is what we are doing. We had some SUV clients that already successfully transitioned to PR, or in the process of the priority processing. The new SUV applicants, we said, stop. Now let's pivot to PNP and C11. Those who are in the backlog at the moment should really consider PNP. Depending on where you can see in the processing time, right? You can see where you are, how many people are ahead of you. And don't forget, every year for 26, 27, 28, there will be 500 spots for federal business category. Federal business category, 500 people, not applications, people. That's roughly 170 startups. If you consider three founders per startup, that will be the case, right? So you need to assess your realistic chances of getting PR under SUV and pivot to either C11 or pivot to PNP. And we are coming to the FAQ that is very relevant to this question. Thank you very much. Now, let me get a sip of water. Thank you for your active participation. It's going great. And this will be saved in our social media. Send us your questions after, even if you miss or you remember a new question, send it as a comment. And I promise my team and I will be in the comment section in 1 hour after this live streaming, okay? So another question from what we got. Here's a FAQ that we have. If I take the C11 or PNP route, can my family still come with me? The fear here is I'll have to leave my children, wife, and kids behind. No, absolutely. The rules here are very favorable. When you get a C11 work permit as a highly skilled entrepreneur or in the PNP route, your spouse is eligible for an open work permit. He or she can work anywhere that she wants to, get a career or gets a job offer, and also your kids will go to public schools for free. Your children are eligible for study permit to attend Canadian public schools for free. In almost all provinces, that's the case. You move as a family unit. You don't leave anyone behind. Okay, that's the key. And I know I've been an immigrant myself, although I moved to Canada when I was a single, but I talk to business immigration applicants every day, and number one, if I can single out, number one priority is family, and Canada recognizes that, and you become a bit better business owner when you are with your family in Canada. That's goes without saying. Now, another question from the audience. As I promised, one question for you and one question for my FAQ. Now, let's see. Another one. Another one that I have here. Here's it's called Hell's Assassin. Okay, that's a username. Okay, that's not the person's name. Okay, what is the best business to purchase to increase probability of getting nomination from a PNP perspective, and the best faster province? Great question. And I will point you to, I would say, 4 provinces. 1, British Columbia Regional Program has several communities. It's on the website, and see my video about that in the YouTube channel. So the BC communities, they already have said what sectors, what businesses they prioritize. So go to that BC, see the regional communities participating, and see what kind of businesses they like, and go with that. That's very easy. It's not all provinces have provided this kind of great tip or great guidance, but BC has done it. Second, Alberta Rural Entrepreneur Program. You need to go province, location by location, but usually it's those businesses that will make your daily life easier. I would say small and medium businesses. But again, if you want, we usually help our clients to organize an exploratory visit to that location. We have a direct contact with the economic development office of that city or town, little town, and you can say, hey, if I do this business, or what kind of businesses do you need in your community? For example, when I visited Black Falls in 2 years ago, I personally visited Alberta locations that are participating in the rural program. In Black Falls, at that time, they were saying, we have outdoor activities during summer, outdoor activities, everybody's outside. But when it's winter in Alberta, almost 6 months of winter, we don't have an indoor playground for people of residents of Black Falls. Black Falls has seen an increase in population. People were moving from big cities to Black Falls and other communities, and there are young families with children. They were saying, we would love to have an indoor playground business coming to the community. If they haven't achieved that already, you could look at that. So you need to go location by location, do your research, or hire someone to do the research for you. Then you will have a best option. And once they like your business, they are quite fast. For example, in our Alberta Rural Entrepreneur Program application for our client, it took us around 6 months to do everything and bring the person with the family, getting a work permit support letter from the province, and now they are running their business in Alberta. So it's fast, considering what we are looking at processing time, it's quite fast. And we have many success stories on our website at sobirovs.com. See the success stories for yourself, read them. If you have any questions and you want to discuss with us, you can always book a consultation and we can go in more detail. Now, another FAQ from my side, all right? So we will remove that. Another FAQ. We are doing well. Thank you very much for your great participation. Question 4 that we received: is the investment for C11 higher than the startup visa? The fear here is I cannot afford a second expensive process. That's a well-founded fear. I know every province and every program requires different kind of investment. It's not, my answer to this is, it's not necessarily higher, it's just different. SUV, you can tell me your story about startup visa program, how much money you spent already. And don't forget that there are 5 founders under one startup, usually, right? You spread the cost in a way. So with SUV, you often pay fees to designated organizations, their incubation program, their mentorship, their guidance and whatnot, or angel groups that act as locked capital, usually. With C11, you are investing in your own business, basically your own asset, right? You need to show you have enough capital to launch operations, business operations in Canada. That could be maybe 150,000 to 200,000 Canadian, depending on the business. That's our rough estimate, but we suggest to have liquid assets for the business between 200 to 300,000, because once you start the business, as you know, you are a business owner, there might be unexpected costs, right? But remember, you are not paying that money to someone else or to a designated organization or some entity. You are spending it on your commercial rent, on your inventory, on your staff in the business. It stays in your control, right? It's your money, but locked on your business, right? So from that perspective, I don't see that it's higher or better or worse. It's not inexpensive. Of course, business immigration has never been cheap. So you need to be ready. And my overall answer to that question is that. Now, okay, there's questions again. Today we were talking about SUV is frozen. What are your alternatives for those who joined us recently? And let's get one of the questions from the audience. Can C11 be processing for a visitor present in Canada? Yes, it can. It can be. But your application will be looked at by the embassy that is related to your home country, right? It will not be in Canada application in a way. It still be outside of Canada. But as a visitor, you can exit Canada, and next time when everything is approved, you enter Canada and get your work permit at the border. That could be a scenario. That was exactly the same with our Alberta PNP candidate, who traveled to Canada 2 times, and then the 3rd time when he came with his family got a sticker visa, work visas and study permits respectively. He already had a tourist visa in his passport. They all came to the Canadian border. At the airport, they were issued 2 work permits and two study permits for the kids. And they have two-year work permits now doing business in Alberta. Another question. Here's a consult lawyer fee. Consultation fee are available on the website. It's $250 United States dollars, US dollars, because that's the easy way to calculate. Usually people are confused with Canadian dollars. We put it $250 US. If you don't like your consultation and you are not happy with consultation, we refund the money. We are not in the business of making money from the consultation. We just want to have serious inquiries only. If you are not satisfied with our consultation, we will return the fee. But if you become our client after the consultation, we apply that fee to legal fees in the future, okay? I meant nomination certificate. Oh, okay, Fatima, I was confused then. Expression of interest is different. Well, nomination certificate as a personal immigration candidate or business immigration candidate. If you are a business immigration candidate, once you perform your KPIs, so to say, under business performance agreement that you will sign with the province, then you can then ask for nomination. Provinces are not, they don't deny nomination certificate if you performed according to the business performance agreement. So it's quite fast. But if you meant personal immigration candidate, we don't do personal immigration. Sorry, I cannot answer that question. All right, another question from my list. So question 4 is done, and question 5. Question 5 is about English language or French language skills. My English isn't perfect. Is C11 stricter than SUV? I don't think so, but the fear here is from the candidate, I will be rejected because of my language scores. The C11 doesn't necessarily require IELTS or test results from you. It's a federal program. SUV used to require, I think, IELTS 4, I think CLB 4 or 4.5. It was very low level in terms of skills. That's why many people were interested in SUV, one of many reasons. The C11 is the following. Startup visa had a lower bar, CLB 5. Here's my correction. For C11, there's no hard exam score required by law or for work permit itself. But to convince an officer, immigration officer, you can run a Canadian business, you need a functional language skills, functional English or French. However, keep the end goal in mind. To convert to PR in the future, later via express entry or via PNP, you will eventually need strong language scores, okay? C11 gives you time to practice to improve your English. So it's not an end game. When you come to Canada under C11 or PNP, work on your English. So C11 buys you time to come to Canada, immerse yourself in the language environment, and improve your English while you run your business. And in my experience, those who have great English, good level of English, they are more successful in the business because your consumers speak the language, you do business, you sign contracts in English and so on. Work on your language skills, and this is my answer overall. Now, another question from the audience. Here we go. I have a business visa to enter Canada. Okay, good. Congratulations. You can do exploratory visit and explore provinces of Canada. And yeah, that's a great achievement in itself, having a visitor visa. Great. Okay, another question. Here we go. From the audience, if you're considering Canadian immigration and want personalized guidance, you can book a strategy meeting here. Yeah, that's not a question, that's a comment from my team. Yeah, you can book your strategy meeting at this link. Another question. Karn here from India. Hello, Karn. Welcome. It's great to have you. With an overall sales and operation experience of 17 years with 10 in trucking supply chain, startup in India, okay, should I go through an express entry and wait for a nomination or go through a business purchase PNP? Well, Karan, I think with 17 years of experience, you are over 40 years old. And those who are over 40 years old, they don't have great chances under express entry. Therefore, one of the attractive parts of business immigration is that even people older than 40 years old can purchase a business and do it through PNP. PNPs, usually they have age limit, usually between 21 to 59 years old. PNPs are better option. I think business purchase, existing business purchase is a good option for you. Yes, you should consider that seriously. But again, talk to a lawyer, sit and discuss in more detail. With 17 years of experience, I suspect you are closer to 40 years old or even higher than 40 years old. And express entry, unfortunately, it penalizes those who are in that age, over 40 years old. Okay, Les Al Israel is asking the following question. Applied for SUV PR in December, I would say last December, right? 2025, with a priority incubator. Product has traction, paying clients. Should I wait it out or pursue another PR path in parallel? PR would help to scale the business. One thing, priority incubator, and are you in Canada or one of your founders are in Canada on a work permit? If that's the case, then you go to tier 1, right? With a tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. Those who have financing from angels, they go, and one worker, one founder on a work permit status in Canada, they have tier 1. So the SUV PR application done in December, it's very, you are at the end of that 45,000 people waiting. You see, even if, and don't forget, every year there will be 500 people becoming PR through federal business immigration, the federal business category, such as SUV. 500 people. That's roughly 150 or 170 startups. So if you are at the tail end of that 45,000 people, then realistically, even if you are a priority, I don't think in 26 you will see the PR status. So in parallel, if you have financial capacity, I would say you can, well, also there are maybe 5 founders together under startup. So you need to see if you can pivot to PNP and say, go to, let's say, Alberta or British Columbia, saying, hey, I want to bring this business with traction, with clients, paying clients, and so on. Will you be interested in PNP, in helping me with PNP and going through PNP? But again, you have to negotiate with your co-founders, if there are any co-founders in the startup. I suggest, in my humble opinion, you need to look at other PR programs if you applied for PR in December 2025. And I will take one more question and then I'll go to my list of questions, if you are okay. So, is there any option to immigrate with 55,000 Canadian? For your information, I finished my master's in 2008. Is there any future possibility? What's your opinion? Did you finish your master's in Canada? If yes, then there are Alberta Graduate Entrepreneur Program. With that amount of money, you can do something, yeah. But again, if you finished your master's in Canada, but in 2008, that's 17 years ago. Look at, it's tough. It's if it's all the money that you have, then it's very tight budget, to be honest, because with 55,000 just to invest into your business, then you are also looking at legal costs and so on and so forth. and you need to have some operational money. That's why 100,000 is a good balance. 55,000, it's not great. I don't think there's any PNP that comes to my mind straight away. What you can do is look at Alberta graduate entrepreneur or foreign graduate entrepreneur programs. There are two graduate programs for students. Again, 2008 graduation is a bit far away, but again, look at Alberta. Alberta has I would say, the lowest investment thresholds. Yes, I am in Canada. Okay. If you are in Canada and you are on a work permit, right, 3-year open work permit, then there are two ways: either business immigration pathway, right, and moving your startup to some province, or if you can find yourself a job, an employment, and I can see that you are an entrepreneur and you already have a great startup with traction and so on, you could be very employable and get 1 year of Canadian work experience, then look at Express Entry, Canadian experience class under Express Entry. So two ways: one personal immigration way, one business immigration way for you. Okay. I have a lot of questions, and I promise I will tackle each and every one of those questions. And let me get to my FAQ that I had. Question 5 is done, and question 6. Question 6 says, what exactly is the significant benefit threshold for C11, and what sectors is the IRCC prioritizing? The fear here is I'll put all the work and still be rejected because my business isn't significant enough or doesn't give significant benefit. So the answer to that is the significant benefit requirement means you must prove your business provides an economic, social, or cultural benefit to Canada. To secure approval in 2026, your business plan needs to be Canada ready from day one. And significant benefit assessment will be done before approving your work permit. If your work permit is approved, that means that Canada believes that you will have a significant benefit. We are currently seeing that IRCC is looking for high-value sectors, specifically green tech, advanced manufacturing, and specialized services. If your business fits one of these, it's considered a fast track. But also, we dealt with businesses that were more in the arts and entertainment, because in that specific community where they wanted to do business, our clients, there wasn't any arts and entertainment business there. It was a dance studio business. So they did that, and C11 was approved for that client. So very specific, highly dependent on the nature of the business and where you want to put that business in Canada, which location. So Canada is a spread country with each has its own ecosystem surrounded. So you need to really learn deep about the location you want to put your business in. Your questions. So here's a very good question. For C11, does having a Canadian citizen minority shareholder or director meaningfully improve approval chances? And what documents is needed to prove real operational control and succession planning? All right, that's a very loaded question. For C11, there are certain provinces where you can incorporate a Canadian corporation, provincial corporation, without a Canadian director. It doesn't really boost your chances, but having someone who is on the ground and who can help you to navigate the Canadian market is always plus, But it doesn't really guarantee that you will be approved. The approval comes when applicants can prove that their business is significantly important, significant benefits will be created for that location in that in that sector of business, right? And another operation, how to prove real through shareholder agreement. Who will be making decisions for that company? How many shares are owned by the foreigner? Usually C11s that we do, they have 100% ownership by the foreign entrepreneur. Okay, that's what you do. In succession planning, that's if you purchase an existing company from a Canadian person, Canadian entrepreneur, you succeed in terms of ownership. There will be C11 now requires you to own at least 51%. The more percentage you own, the better for you, because succession planning may involve installment base, right? Slowly you get like 5%, 10%, but first 51, unless you own a 51%, Canada doesn't see a necessity for you to be in Canada to be on top of the business, right? If you own, let's say 10%, you can still run it, and the rest is owned by the Canadian. You can still run the business without coming to Canada. So 51% is the minimum threshold of to show operational control. Let's get one more question from Monabir, and then go to my list of questions. Monabir says, as an SUV backlog applicant, which pathway would be more suitable in my case? The C11 Significant Benefit Work Permit or the Albertan Rural Entrepreneur Work Permit, and why? Well, depends on what kind of business you want to do. I don't know your background or your business. That's why I would say to look at both, and depends how soon you want to be in Canada with your family. Is it you want to be fast in 3 months or 6 months? And Alberta Rural Entrepreneur Program, while it's a great program, not many people want to live in remote communities, in rural communities, okay? C11 gives you more flexibility in terms of where you want to live, but if you are really focused on Alberta and you want to get PR, then Alberta wins by a mile, because C11 is still a temporary program, right? You come temporarily for 18 months, you can extend your work permit, but transition there's a second step that you need to do to transition to PR. If your focus is to become as a family a permanent resident of Canada, then Alberta Rural Program wins by a mile. Depends on your goals, the nature of your business, the financial capacity that you have, and willingness to live in a rural community at least until the moment you become permanent residents of Canada. Okay. Now, my questions, I shouldn't forget, we are already 1.5 hours, but that's okay. We will cover each and every question today. I have 2 more questions left. Question 7 is coming. Question 7, since the focus is shifting to PNP, how does this change the location of where I can set up my business? The fear here is I'll be forced to move to a location that's bad for my business. Is that true? That's the fear. My answer is, it means that you have to be willing to commit to a specific geography in Canada. It's second biggest country, it's huge. But in exchange, you get much more predictable path to permanent residence. So provinces will be the gatekeepers of business immigration going forward. Provinces in much higher number than federal government, right? For example, the Ontario PNP used to prioritize businesses located outside of Greater Toronto area in places like Kitchener, Waterloo, Ottawa, or London. I think in the new version of Ontario PNP for entrepreneurs, this criteria will still be present, because remember, Canadian federal government, when they approve the budget, there are a lot of wordings that you need to read between the lines. They want to spread the benefit of immigration to all communities across Canada, including rural communities. If I were an IRCC officer, if I were an IRCC decision maker, when I look at someone who want to do business in Toronto and the one who wants to do business in London, Ontario, of course, London, Ontario will be more priority, because there are tons of businesses already in Toronto. Toronto is overpopulated. That's why, be realistic. That's the criteria that will not go away in Canada's business immigration. Alberta's PNP, for example, is also strong. Also a strong option with its rural entrepreneur stream for those who are willing to move there and run the business. It's a great place. I personally visited those rural communities. They're very sweet, small communities with great schools, with great nature. It's not in the middle of nowhere. It's a great place. People live there. Of course, the communities are under 100,000 inhabitants, residents, but it's a great place. At least it will give you a fast track, more realistic track for permanent residents, right? That's the exchange of the benefits that you get. Okay, another question from the audience, as I promised, one from me, one from you. All right, here's another question. For C11 applicants who are required to hold majority ownership, what type of transition or exit plan does IRCC practically expect to see in order to satisfy the temporary nature of the stay? Oh, you are asking very legal questions. That's good. That's good. Well, at least you need to show that in the next 2 to 3 years you will be on the helm of the company, right? You will be doing legwork. You will be expanding and developing the business. And after you do that, you say, I will sell or I will go to another location to do another business. So within 2 to 3 years, you are good, and the C11 can be extended further than 18 months if you prove the necessity to be continuing doing the business. And I haven't seen a case in our practice that C11 extension was denied. As long as you run a genuine business and you do sales, you do genuine employment of Canadians and continue creating significant benefit analysis is not just one-time analysis. It's a continuous analysis. Are you continuing to create significant benefit to Canada? When it comes to renew your work permit, are you still creating benefits to Canada? So it's a continuous process, and as long as you satisfy that requirement, I don't see any problem with extension. And with temporary nature of the stay, in the business plan, you outline the steps that you develop your business, and then you can go back and you have a capacity and willingness to go back to your home country after you are no longer needed to be on top of that business. All right, my question, last question is coming, and then we probably will say goodbye. Here we go. All right, here we go. Question number 8. Why did the government freeze the startup visa program on December 31st, 2025? And what is the real impact on the backlog? Wow, that's a great question. Now, the fear here, as you may expect, the government will freeze C11 next, and I'll have to start all over again, and so on. I don't think that C11 will be frozen. It is the right program to attract foreign entrepreneurs. The answer to this is the government froze the SUV due to a breaking point in the volume and integrity of the program. Let's be honest, there were thousands of startups that were just living on the paper. They never did anything. They were just waiting for PR. I would argue, you can do a counter argument, I would argue that majority of that 45,000 people in the backlog are just waiting for PR. Are just waiting for PR. That was the abuse of the system. That was against the spirit of that program. The spirit of that program was to bring entrepreneurs to run a scalable and investable business that would make Canadian startup ecosystem boost. But as always, government miscalculated the integrity issue. So the backlog reached an unsustainable level, 45,000 people waiting, and the IRCC is now focused only on clearing that existing inventory before accepting any single new file. If you were waiting for a letter of support from a designated entity, that process is effectively stalled. For new entrants, meaning you are looking at an indefinite wait time. If you haven't applied before February 1st, or you still have, if your letter of support was obtained before January 1st, you can still apply. But if you haven't done so, if you don't have a letter of support now, it's a dead program. So look at C11, look at ICT, intracompany transfer, look at provincial nominee programs, and send us your comments and feedback. We are always eager to hear from you. Thank you very much for your active participation. So let me see if we have any other questions and to answer in this show. Okay, I don't think we have any other questions. Thank you very much for your active participation. Don't forget that we will be hanging out in the comment section 1 hour from now. So it's almost 12 o'clock in Toronto, and it's midday. So at 1 p.m., me and my team will be in the comment section, and we will be answering those questions that you may remember later on. Thank you again for your active participation. We are live every Wednesday at 10:30 a.m. Sobirovs.com is a great source for your information, and it will help you to make an informed decision in the future regarding business immigration. Have a great day. See you next time. Bye-bye.